Welcome to the EMPOWERPRENEURS podcast, all about building a business and life you love by doing it on your terms. I'm your host, Kaina, founder of Sonikai, and every week you will learn how to create more income, freedom, and impact with strategies, inspirational stories, tips, and good vibes only. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out, and let's get started. Welcome back to the EMPOWERPRENEURS podcast. I am super thrilled for today's episode because I'm with Charissa and we have a lot to cover. We're going to talk all about money manifestation with soul, and it's going to be a juicy episode. So really stay tuned. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to dive in with you.
Yay. So, we're going to start with a little bit about you, who you are, what's your background, how anything we can know about you that can be, juicy to know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, where do we begin, right? Okay. Well, my background, I live in Canada and I was actually a school teacher for around 15 years, teaching different grades. I just resigned from my full-time teaching job as a kindergarten teacher. And about 7 years ago, I started making some lip balms and bath bombs for fun. And I was on my mat leave and I was making these lip balms and bath bombs so I could sell them and then bring some fruit into my kindergarten classroom because there were some kids who they didn't have any healthy food options in their lunches. And so I was trying to think of a creative way of bringing, this available food into the classroom for the kids who weren't as fortunate. And that's why I started dabbling into the lip balms and the bath bombs. And it really just snowballed where then friends started to buy the items and then local stores started to sell. And it really snowballed into then lash artists and microblading artists asking for me to make some balms for the healing process. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what microblading is. I don't know what any of this beauty industry, stuff is, but I said yes. And it really just snowballed into now a company that I own, that I've started and founded, and we have our own production space. And I've retired my husband. He used to work at the local jail. So I just retired him in September. So he works full-time for the company. But along the years, I started to really get into leadership. And I started really getting into manifesting and law of attraction. So as I was building this product-based business, I was really going into the magic and, manifesting and really along the way, if you asked me, how did you even begin? It was that night in bed where I was just thinking, how could I help these kids out? And I literally just heard a voice come through. It was it was me, but not me, it was higher guidance saying, make lip balms. And I'm like, I don't even know how. What do you mean make lip balms? This is so weird. How do I do the labels? What product do I need? And that was the beginning of my intuitive, soul-led journey. And it's really been this soul discovery because, as you know, to be an entrepreneur is not an easy thing to do. And you really have to anchor into your knowing and trust that soul divine vision that you can see for yourself and really keep holding on to your own power and your own soul's knowing, along with, I believe in working with a higher power, right? Universe, divine source, God, magic, whatever you want to call it, to continue to do the work that you're here to do. So that's really the big picture in a nutshell on, how did I even go from being a kindergarten teacher? It was the product-based business. Then I started to lead along the way, lead other women and really get into money manifestation and empowering women and intuition and psychic work and all of that.
I always love to hear other people's stories about how they discovered their dharma, their passion, how they went into it. And I just love it when sometimes it's just you're asking the right question. Yeah. And, asking yourself, okay, so how can I serve more? How can I be at service for someone or for other people? And then, you have this voice or this intuition that is telling you oh, this is something you could do. And then you're starting to question and be like, oh, this is a possibility. So now that I'm open to this possibility, I can actually like do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I had that voice come through, and that was just the beginning, right? And just kind of following that little nugget, and never imagined in a million years I'd be where I am now. But not only that, there are so many little like stones and pebbles and boulders that the universe was throwing in front of me to be like, you're not meant to be a teacher in the schools. You're meant to do something different. And my body was telling me too, so there was a lot of circumstances that were happening, in my classroom or just teaching that year and trying to, have 3 kids and go teach, and my husband working 12-hour shifts. And there's a lot of things that were happening where it's just like kind of chaotic in my life at the time as well. And so this is, again, where I really listened to my soul and my body, what my body was telling me. Because there's actually a point where I was having anxiety going into work. And this is when I was just starting the product-based business. And then I was going into it was a very high needs classroom. So there's just, and I had little kids and it was just a little chaotic. And so my body was just like, like it just felt like in a frenzy and overwhelm. And I was actually like getting heart palpitations because it was just too much. So this was a part of the journey too, right? Kind of that dark night of the soul, doing that inner work on, well, I don't want to feel this way. And why am I feeling this way? So something's off, right? So also too, attuning to what your body's telling you. And if you're feeling low or not happy or feeling joy and feeling like there's all this chaos, then something needs to change. And so that as well was a part of the journey to where I am now, was those, experiences a few years back that has led me to go, okay, I'm taking the leap. I'm going fully into my business. Universe keeps throwing boulders in the way. And I'm telling you, like from daycares quitting to kids continually getting sick, it was like just not working out for me to go into this full-time teaching job. It was crazy. And I was like, okay, universe, I get the signs. I get what you're saying. And so that's when I took the leap and went full on into entrepreneurship. And now it's like, okay, both businesses have exploded. My husband doesn't even work those 12-hour shifts because he's working for a company. And now I have that freedom and flexibility too with 3 little kids. If they're sick, there doesn't need to be the stress of going into work and having that classroom. And I'm happier in this role, leading women all over the world. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your body is really good, like great at like telling you when you are like out of alignment. And when you actually listen to it, it also gives you way more clarity around, okay, where can I go? What can I do? Okay, what's happening actually? And listening more. This is really this is a gift like that we get to have, like listening to our body, listening to our higher self, really be connected to ourselves, to the universe, to everything that we believe in. And as you said, like entrepreneurship, most of it when you start is a question of trust and belief, because you don't know if it's going to work. You have like no proof that it's going to work, but you just have to believe in that. And when you believe in it, when you trust the process, even when it's chaotic, like you're just like, oh my God, my life is literally tearing apart. But bringing back this trust and being like, okay, there is a bigger mission behind it. How can I tune into that? How can I tap into that more?
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people who they are getting the nudges from the universe or God, whatever you want to call it. And their body is also telling them, right? If you're not happy going into the day, into doing what you're doing, something's out of alignment, right? We shouldn't be feeling this way. We should be excited and loving every day. Not to say there's not going to be days that you don't feel low or things happen, because that's a part of life. But I think what happens is a lot of people let the logic take over of what they should do or what seems reasonable, versus listening to their body and following their soul, right? So they let that fear hold them back. And I can tell you, taking the leap and going in this direction, it hasn't been easy. Of course, it was scary. I mean, even this year to say, okay, like leave your job to my husband. I was like, OMG, what are we doing? I had just invested in a private coach for the full year, which was a lot of money, resigned from my job. I mean, we have 3 kids to take care of, right? We have our home. We have so much to take care of. And it's not an easy thing to do at all, right? The logical or, the rational would say, and believe me, we've had, some people saying their comments about leaving our jobs to continue this entrepreneurship. It hasn't been easy, but again, this is where it's like, I know. And like you said, when you follow soul and when you trust, right? Trust in your vision, trust in the path that's being unfolded in front of you, and trust in the feelings from your body and what your intuition is telling you. Then on the other side, there is this like most incredible, insane, like you would never predict pathway before you, but you do have to hold that faith and trust and fully jump.
Yeah. And how did you kind of like went into manifestation and manifesting money, and kind of like the difference between just manifesting money and manifesting money with your soul?
Ooh, yeah. How did I get into manifesting? I just remember being really intrigued. I think I just started reading different mindset type books, law of attraction books as I was wanting to grow my business. I love listening to different podcasts around manifesting. I mean, I've always really been intrigued by, psychics and magic and, that whole world. I've always been very interested. So just along the journey, I started reading about it and learning about it and taking different courses too, around, like I have an angel guide course. I have an certification. I have reading auras. Like I've done all these different types of courses, money certification, coaching. And when it comes to, with money and soul, the way I like to look at it is creating money, calling in money through your desires, right? Not how other people think you should, not how the world tells you should, but it's like truly through what brings you joy and what feels good for you, and through your desires. Is very pleasure led. It's like, this is what I'm here for. This is what my soul wants. And therefore you attract overflow and abundance, but it's from the soulful way.
A lot of time we've been conditioned to think a certain way, to do certain things, to go towards certain things. And when you come back to your soul and when you listen to your desires and you're just like, I'm gonna go full into that, this is when big shifts tends to happen. And I truly love it because it seems like you love getting this mentorship.
So I think just naturally, I'm always learning. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you should always be expanding. You should always be learning and should be surrounded by people who know things that you don't know, right? And continue to grow your wisdom. And that makes you an even more powerful, expansive leader when you do this. But it's the Money Magic Witch is my Instagram. And if you watch it, like you need to go all in, right? You need to do the work. You need to invest, right? Like continually investing in you, right? So this could be certifications. I mean, for me, it's different as well. I have a product company, so I'm investing in the growth of that company as well, right? Having a team of people, always being in the energy of someone who's where you want to be. So then you can continue to be held by them, and for you to be expanded by them, for them to show you what's possible and hold you to that standard. I mean, the coach that I'm with right now, she just had a $6 million year, right? So it's like, I know, especially when it comes to manifesting, be in the wealth, be surrounded by the wealth, be in the mindset of the people who are, have this like rich, expansive, wealthy mindset as well. So I think it's important to do that. And I definitely don't sugarcoat any of that. If you go to my Instagram, it's like, you have to do the work. You have to be consistent. You have to be all in and make those investments, take the leap, take the risk to get to where you want to go.
And what is the biggest mistake that you see people do when it comes to manifesting money?
Oh, manifesting money. What is the biggest mistake? I feel like a lot of people, and I'm going to tie this with like success in general.
Mm-hmm.
I feel because money is really a byproduct of who you are, right? Your successes as well. So, I mean, they're both money, your success, anything that's like brought into the tangible reality, it's all is no different, right? It's all energy. It's a reflection of you. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they make moves based off of where they're at now, right? So it's like they have this vision, they know they want X amount of money, or they want to create this or have this, but then they won't move accordingly. So they stay in this timeline, right? So I believe in multiple dimensions, different timelines. And so it's like, if we want to create that and have that, we have to operate in the frequency of that timeline. We have to become that. And it's not fake it till you make it, right? It's not pretending. It's like, what moves would I make today if I were, 7-figure Charissa, millionaire Charissa? What moves would I make? And making those moves and becoming her now, right? So you can be that match for where you want to go. And I think the biggest moves, and I see it. So this is why I'm like, I can't sugarcoat and pretend that, you don't have to make these big, bold moves, because in order to get there, you have to make the moves now. And so many entrepreneurs let that fear hold them back, or the logic hold them back. And I get it. The fear has been present for me. But it's like, well, what moves would she make? What moves would she make? And I actually just recently did one. There was I kept hearing intuitively, join a mastermind. You got to join a mastermind. I have my private coach, but masterminds are a different experience. And I knew the one thing that was holding me back right now was I just invested in a full year with a coach. And now I'm hearing this voice of join a mastermind. And suddenly one day I went, what would 7-figure Charissa do? She would definitely be in a mastermind, right? With these women, like close knit, doing life together. And the perfect mastermind came up with the perfect leader at the most divine timing. And I just said that, what moves would she make? And it was scary to do, because I've just invested in a private coach as well, but I'm going to operate and make the moves in the now so that I can access that timeline, right? So I can become that and create those results. So most people, they won't do that, right? Because it seems illogical. It's like, I'm not there yet, but it's so like a contradiction, because you can't get there until you're an energetic match for that, until you become that. Then your reality, this is the manifesting, right? Your reality is going to match exactly who you are. So the moves you're making, and of course, the internal beliefs and thoughts and your patterns and subconscious programming as well.
Yeah, I believe that's the most important thing that I've learned when it comes to manifesting, because you are literally manifesting every single day, every single minute. And when you enter, I love the kind of like era thing, when artists like come up with a new album or anything, like a new level, they enter a new era.
Ooh.
And so I really love this, because we're like, okay, so if I was in my rich bitch era, if I was in my confident as fuck era, who would I be?
Yeah.
Who would I choose to be? What would I choose to do? What would I choose to think, to believe? And when you come up with like this new era of yours, you're just like, I'm creating it. I'm making it possible because it is possible. So my mind is opening up to this possibility that this is happening. This is possible for me. And so you then start to shift, you then start to take action, you then start to see new things, like what you said, like you had this vision of a mastermind, you had this voice of like joining a mastermind, and then you just saw at the perfect time, the perfect moment, the perfect mastermind for you, because you opened up to this possibility. And I love to use like, when you want a car, you want a certain car, and you're just like, oh, I want my car to be red. I want a red Lamborghini. And then you're going outside and you're seeing this red Lamborghini. And every time you're just like, oh, shit. And it's not because, there are more Lamborghinis now. It's just because you opened up the possibility that this could be yours, that this could be your like possibility. And then you're seeing it. So the more you're opening yourself to like embodying this new version, this new era that is actually you, like your true self, honestly, the more you can see more things, the more you will encounter people and opportunities that will allow you to step into that era as well.
Yeah. It's like the opportunities and the red car has always existed. It's just opening up your sight to it or perception to it. Yeah, I love that. Love it. So good. And it's like when you can have two people in the exact same scenario, right? And one perceives it as that was terrible, this was boring. And someone else could be like, oh my God, that was the most incredible, I don't know, business conference I ever went to. And it's just opening up their mind and the way they perceive things to be. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And when it comes to your beliefs, what are the beliefs that you think are helping you manifest more of what you do want and living the freedom that you are living right now? What are some shifts that you have to make and the beliefs that you had to shift as well? Because you tell me, but when you started, you didn't have the same beliefs than today. So I would love to know, like, what are the beliefs that you think are helping you right now tap into this level that you are at right now?
Yeah, I mean, it always for me, it's like, and you hear it all the time, but it's like so true, is having that vision, like really having the vision. And it may not turn out, I told you before, I'm like mind blowing, like never would predict, but hold the vision of like, you want something bigger. You might not have all the details because the universe can surprise you, right? And is usually bigger and better than you ever imagined. But just, as you go along the journey too, your vision may change a bit. Like as I started to get more into my product, the vision wasn't, having my own production space and retiring my husband and me leading. I didn't know that until I continued to show up every day. And then the journey unfolded. Then I was like, okay, I want to leave teaching. And I could literally see, I'm like, you guys can't see my hands, but I'm holding the vision in the air right now. I could literally see, this production space. I'm no longer just making lip balms in my kitchen. It's like, ooh, there's actually a place with employees. So I held the vision and held that picture. Right. And then it ended up manifesting, but you have to make the moves, every day to get there and to believe that it can be you. And I really believe in this like certainty frequency where it's just like, this is mine. There's no, is it mine? Could this happen? It's just, this is what's going to happen. So I just have this very firm belief and knowing and the certainty. You really have to be in this confidence that you're talking about as well. Being confident in you, trusting in you, and trusting in this vision is holding it. And it will happen. We don't know when, and we don't know exactly how, but holding the belief. And then, of course, I always have to emphasize this, matching that with your energetic devotion of action, of showing up, right, for the vision as well. So definitely that certainty around manifesting. And yeah, and again, the becoming, it's really about, holding the standard of what you're available for, what you're not available for, and where you truly want to go. And this is the becoming of where you want to go. So an example would be, if you are, let's say wanting to have like a 100K year or 200, 300, whatever it may be, whatever your vision is. Okay, we're going to talk about money here. But you're still operating in the beginner's mode, right? Still making those choices. Maybe you don't have boundaries. Maybe you're like charging really low ticket or even giving, business advice or coaching for free. Then you're not, making those moves that match where you want to manifest. So it's definitely, moving from that space and that energy of where you want to go, but also too, holding the standard of that vision. Right? Which is the standards of where you want to go, your pricing, how you're running your business, your support team, boundaries, all of that as well.
Yeah, I love it. Like holding the standards of what you do want. And when you do that, you take action from a place of I get to have that instead of I need that. You get to set higher standards and be like, okay, this is my no's, this is my yes. And then you take action based on like full in yes, instead of being like, oh, I don't know, should I not? You're like really clear. And the more you take action, the clearer you get as well. So it's truly like a question of vision and setting more boundaries with yourself, with people as well. Like if you have clients that are not aligned with you and your vision, it's also a right time to check on them and be like, okay, what can we do next? Because right now, your CEO self wouldn't allow clients that are not aligned because you are wasting your time and you are wasting their time as well. But mostly it's like how much are you allowing people to block you into your growth as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where we can bring in our soul as well. And this is something recently I've been really anchoring into more than ever before when it comes to my business growth and manifesting going to that next level, is asking myself, what does my soul truly want? So instead of business should go this way, or this worked before, but it doesn't feel really that great in my soul. So now it's like, what do I truly desire, when it comes to my business? And what I've had to recently do is look at that on what's working in my business, what feels out of alignment, what am I doing in business where it's like, well, I know that'll bring money, but is this really what I want to do? Is this really what my soul's telling me I want to do? So I actually really, like the last couple of months, burnt down parts of my business where it was like, that worked before, for Charissa, who was at 6 figures. But now I'm going to hold the standard and I'm going to follow soul and what I truly desire. And we're going to go even bigger here. And so I did have to, cut out a lot of different things in my business and shift a lot of things and holding that faith and trust. And I can tell you there was some wobble there on some days where I was like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet. Like, what's going on here? In the old way, I knew sales would come in, right? It's always worked. But that's not where I'm going. And that's not my long-term vision, right? It didn't match with the long-term vision and who I was becoming. And so I desired more of this like luxury brand and potent experiences with my clients and creating very potent, rich, deep offers. So that meant I had to really refine things of less of what I was doing and a lot of less of, kind of lower ticket things and random kind of offers. So really refining that, because that's where my soul was taking me and I knew where I wanted to go. So I've really had to hold the standards there, and that's matching, right? That's matching to where I want to go. But you have to hold that faith and that trust, because there's going to be, when you're burning down your business, parts of things, it's like, it's really hard to hold that faith. Right. But it's still brought in a lot of money and clear direction too.
Yeah. Sometimes taking action can feel very scary, and the scariest actions comes with the most learnings as well. And I believe you did a post recently about, allowing only people that were fuck yes clients, full in clients, and allowing people that want to be in your space so bad and that are going to commit as well. Because, a beginner coach would be like, well, I just want to walk with people. So whoever want to walk with me, let's go. And now I believe in coaching, we are standing higher standards about who we are allowing in, instead of being I just want to work with everyone, being okay, so I want people that are committed. I want people that are fully ready to invest in themselves, and that even though it's scary as fuck, still go full in. I want people that are, stepping into the next level and that are taking action, that are doing this and that. And so how did this change for you when it comes to allowing clients, your vision of your clients?
Well, as you were saying that, I was thinking about how life is a mirror in general. And so
Mm,
here's the disconnect, when you're asking before about what are some mistakes, the disconnect where it's like people have that vision and they know who they want to call in, but life is a
they don't.
mirror. So this
Yeah.
is where it's like, we have to look and go, but am I doing that? Am I
Mm,
leading the way? This is the embodiment part, right? Am I actually practicing this? And this is something I talk about a lot on my Instagram as well, is, if I want that all in person and I want the person who's like, I'm going to do what it takes, I'm going to fully invest all the things, are you being that yourself? And so I know I've had clients before who they're not going all the way in. And then I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. I am. That's what I'm here for. And then this is where your marketing comes in as well, right? So we have strategy here too. I love strategy along with the magic and the energetics, but with your marketing too, then it's getting really clear on who you're speaking to, right? So that's where you might have noticed a shift in some of my posts where it's like, okay, I know who I am, and now I'm going to bring that into my marketing on the mirror part, where that's exactly who I'm going to attract in, because this is what I do. And then sharing the stories of what you've done or who you are or how you show up for your business and all the things, so that you can attract those exact people as well.
mm. Yeah. And this is something that I've had to learn this year a lot, is like the confidence to show up as a leader, to show up as, your like preach what you say, and being like, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is the magic that I do. And kind of like, bragging. One of my coach that I want to work with, she was like, you need to brag more, Kaina, about your services. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm really good at what I do. Why don't I talk more about that? And it made me think. And I was talking about it with my clients as well. And she was telling me that she told one of her clients in the past that she was really confident about her services. And her client told her, that's really not good to say that, because you're bragging and it can kind of like sound like cocky, I think it's the word. And I was just like, no, being confident, like men can be confident and brag about who they are and their services, and no one will talk shit about that. So why, as women, do we need to like play small and talk small about ourselves when we are literally magical beings and we are changing lives? We have changed our lives. We have like done so many things. Why don't we brag more about that too? And so it was exciting, and it was like really a real shift that I had, is like, if you want people to trust you, if you want people to be like, I'm fully into you, be that with yourself first. How can you be fully into you, fully secure, fully like trust that you are an amazing coach, you are the best at what you do, you are the best for your clients as well. And when you tap into that more, you are way more confident when you're sharing content. You're not overthinking about your content, because you know that this is going to attract the right people. When you are going on stories, you don't like watch the story like 10 times to see if I may have said something that is not correct. All those things, you get much more. When you are confident in yourself, when you trust your services, when you trust yourself, you attract the people that trust themselves in taking action, trust themselves in investing. Like you said, like it's a mirror a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and people want to buy from the leader who's confident, right?
Yeah.
That's who they want to buy from. It's like if you're to get your brakes fixed on your car, I want to go to the ones who know what they're doing, and please put it on, your front window that you're the best in the city, or that you have the qualities and the skills, the qualifications and the skills to fix my brakes, right? So, and that's the same as your clients. They're looking for that. They want the woman who's so confident in her gifts, in her superpowers, in her delivery, in all that she offers to the world, right? That is who people want to buy from. So, and that means with our marketing and how we show up in our, live videos and our posts, that energy needs to be there. so that people can trust to invest in you, right? They need to trust to invest in you and trust that you have the value, or you're going to help them help solve their problem and get them to where they want to go.
I love this. A question that I like to ask is like, what does your next level look like?
Oh, what a good question. I feel like for me, it's going to be some very potent, like signature offers out there that people just know the Money Magic Witch for. I really love coaching, really love the coaching. So some, private coaches and masterminds, more tools. I want to create more money magic tools. I have a money magic journal. I have it's called the 22-day money magic portal. It's a manifestation workbook. And I have a 22-day program that coincides with this workbook. So that workbook it was actually published on Amazon last night. So it'll be available to purchase, I think like anytime. I just have to get it in my hands. But yeah, it's ready to go. So yeah, I think more creations for the world, to help them on their money manifestation journey. And yeah, just some like really potent, deep experiences for my women. That's what I really want. I want to see my women like transform, and I want to create like these mind-blowing experiences for them to get there.
That's beautiful. What is the biggest learning, lesson, takeaway do you want my listeners to get from that episode or from you?
Yeah, the biggest thing would be, even when you feel like it's not working, okay, because this happens to me all the time. I know that even, the entrepreneurs that you're like, oh my gosh, they're so successful. Like I do psychic support for millionaires. They too have these limiting beliefs and these doubts and the wobble and all of that. They have it too. But just know, even when you think it's not working, if your intention is there and you hold the vision and you continue to show up, this is why I'm a firm believer in the consistency. And I'm not talking about burning out. If you watch my stories, you see I go in the hot tub in the afternoon, I do my workout, I'm with my kids, like business gets shut off when the kids are home from school, like I do all that. But I am a firm believer in consistently showing up for your business. And those micro moves is going to compound, is going to accumulate over time. And then all of a sudden you've arrived to this one destination, right? It doesn't end, because then we continue to want to evolve. But it's the small moves that are going to turn into the macro moves. So continue to show up, even when you think it's not working, even when people aren't liking your posts or not buying your offer. It's like, do it for you, right? Believe in your vision, be your own cheerleader, and continue to show up for you. And then the momentum is going to continue to build and build and build. You have to have the faith, and you have to have the trust, and you have to keep going.
Wonderful. This is wonderful. Can you tell me where we can find you online and how we can work with you?
Yeah, so come on over to the Money Magic Witch on Instagram. If you go into my bio, you can click on the Instagram link to go check out my product-based business if you want to see what other company I run. And right now, private coaching, masterminds, I have a new program. It's a 12-month program, but you can jump in at any time, watch the replays. We begin in January, and it's called the 6-Figure CEO Portal. And it's like a full year program for the woman to go from where she is to start having multi-six-figure years in business. And it's just, it's going to be so good. 12 pathway keys. And each month we focus on the pathway key to get you to your 6 figures. So that's what's happening in that world.
And this is so exciting for you.
It is. And thank you so much for having me. This was such a beautiful conversation. I feel like we could keep diving in and talk about this all day, but it was such a joy to be here. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being there and to really talk your truth and help others and serve others the way you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.